All right, good morning, folks. Heading out around 7 o'clock. Actually, closer to 7:30 now, but started out 20 minutes ago. Trying to beat the wind today. It's supposed to pick up a little bit later in the morning, so I figured if I can get a good shot down the lake, that would be a good thing. I'll just wait for breakfast until I get there. So I just had coffee and did a little study before I took off. Right now it's nice. As you can see, the sun's coming up. The sun's been up for about an hour. I'm going to try to go about 8 miles, at least about 8 miles a day for the next few days to make it back on schedule. So, and I can't be guaranteed that I'm going to have favorable winds, which hasn't done good this trip. So I got shut down there for at least 2 days because of wind. So far, it looks like the move was good. Take off early this morning. It's pretty flat. So if I can beat the wind, that's going to really help a lot. Move the camera around here so you can see a little bit more what's going on behind. Turns out I'll probably have plenty of fuel for the trip. Been running on average about 3,000 RPM, 29 to 31. I think that gives me pretty good mileage. I brought enough fuel for roughly 140 miles, and I'm not going to get anywhere near that. I think I told up the distance, and I've only gone about 45 miles, so at best 90 miles on this trip. Looks like in 2 weeks' time, it's just tough to make that kind of distance. As it is, I moved more distance than I needed to. I had a goal of getting up here into the Cheyenne River Basin. That was accomplished, so now I'm just heading back, reversing course. But I have to go get my sunglasses. It's too bright looking into the sun. I'll show you the little bit of the... There's my course. Probably head down this way somewhere. Maybe one of these or across the way here. I don't know yet. Here's what we're seeing this morning. Kind of pleasant. Sun shining off the hills. And there's quite a few of the valleys that have trees. Even though this is out in the prairie, I've been wanting to go up and kind of explore some of those little valleys with trees. Okay, the passage went pretty smooth. Arrived at the anchorage at about 9:15. But by 1 o'clock, the wind was strong out of the southwest and threatening. All right, I tried to record this earlier, but my SD card was full, so I missed it. Anyway, bring you up to date. I'm in my anchorage here ended up landing here about 10 a.m. this morning, maybe a little bit before. I thought I was in a really good spot, and it turned out not to be. The harbor is fairly small, and I'm in a spot that was, I thought, okay, but then the wind clocked around to the southwest and blew quite a bit harder than I was expecting. I was expecting maybe 15, 18 knots. I would say we're more like 18 to 25 knots. And that's kicked up some sharp waves in the little tiny harbor here. You wouldn't expect it, but there's whitecaps in this little harbor where there's not much fetch at all, maybe 400 yards or so. It's enough though that slaps against the stern, water splashes into the bilge of the boat. So I've done a few things to try to minimize the problems here. For one thing, the wind was pushing me so hard that I took down the forward bimini first, and then I took down the windshield on the aft bimini to reduce the amount of friction in the sail area that essentially you have with all that canvas up. If I need to get out of here, I don't need any friction at all. And it's possible I may have to move yet. I set a timer for 1 hour. The bilge pump ran quite a bit, so I had to pump out quite a bit of water. I've got a timer set for every hour, but if this wind continues through the night, I don't know that that's tenable. I also angled the boat a little bit more to shore, trying to get a little angle on the wave so it's not slapping against the stern so directly. I managed to do that, but in so doing, I hope, but I may have run myself aground. I thought it was quite deep, and it maybe was when I first came in, but the wind has pushed me around a little bit. And I checked it with the depth sounder, and I checked it with a manual pole, and I have maybe 1.5 feet at best. Getting out of here might be interesting. certainly with wind on my stern, it would be very interesting. I can pull the stern back around starboard here a little bit, and maybe that would help, but no guarantees. I've been listening to music, trying to relax, but it's hard to relax when the wind is just beating on the boat, putting me in such a precarious situation. I thought I was being really conservative at where I parked. I was wrong again. You just can't underestimate the wind out here. Even though the forecast showed maybe 18 to 20 maximum, I'm pretty sure in the gusts I'm seeing much more like 25, maybe even gusts to 30. I don't know. I don't have an anemometer, so I don't know how to or can't check it. But it's definitely above the forecast, and I wouldn't have thought it would have been a problem in this small harbor, but it is. So we'll see. We'll give you an update later and see how it goes, but right now it's keeping me on my toes. All right, it's evening, about what time is it? About 6:20. The wind has now switched more to the south. I'm no longer threatened with waves splashing over the stern. Last couple hours there's been no water in the bilge. Wind is still pretty strong, but it's in a more favorable direction. It does put some pressure on the side of the boat, but my anchors seem to be holding okay, so I don't think that they're threatened. So I've just been reading this afternoon, had my dinner, my evening libation of Bailey's with some chocolate covered almonds. Now I'll probably just do some more reading and relax this evening. It's still a little too cold to be doing much outside. The sun is breaking through a little bit. Not as gloomy as it was earlier today, but it's still brisk out there. The temperature, well, it's come up quite a bit. I think the sun is beating on it. It's about 61, 62 degrees, somewhere in there. My plan is an early start again in the morning. I'll probably set an alarm and get up even earlier than I did today to make sure I can make it down to where I want to go. Shooting for about another 10-mile leg so that I'm well within reach of getting to home base and the launch site when I need to, because I have no guarantee on what the winds will be over the next 4 or 5 days. So that's the plan. Have a good night.